Hi, this is John with Hidden Highways, and I just wanted to give you a couple tools to make it much easier for you to disperse camp in national forests. Now, if you had seen my video from about a week ago where I talked about the phantom forest, you can see that I didn't really know about these tools myself about a week ago, and it would have saved me a lot of trouble if I would have used them instead of just kind of assuming, going by Google. But live and learn, so now I can pass on my knowledge to you. And so, just in case you're not aware of what dispersed camping is, I mean, what we're talking about is just camping someplace where there's not an official campground. And there's lots of ways that you can camp as well. Like you can go hiking deep into the woods and so forth. But what I want to talk about today is mostly just parking your vehicle, your RV or van or car along a forest road and just sleeping in it. Or even if you want to just park, pitch a tent as well, So basically just parking along these national forest roads and just but you got to know which roads are okay to park by. Well, the good news is, and maybe a lot of people don't even realize this, that legally you can camp just about anywhere in a national forest along a forest road and in BLM land for that matter, but we're not going to talk about that. We're just going to talk about national forests here today. But for the most part, you can camp anywhere along there as long as, it's got to be off the road a little bit usually, but you can, as long as you move every 14 days. And so you could actually just go from national forest to national forest and, spend the rest of your life just camp there if you wanted to, as long as you moved every 14 days and you wouldn't be breaking any laws. Now, it might be a little more difficult, the whole problem about how you're going to make sure you have like a valid ID. That's a little more of a difficult problem, especially with this real ID thing, but we won't go into that too much. But anyway, so that's the great thing. But the thing about it though is you got to know where to go and you got to know where it's legal, and that's maybe a little more difficult. Like if you'd watched my one video, I tried camping in this area about a week ago, and then I naively kind of assumed, okay, yeah, that's all national forest. That should all be good. And it turned out it wasn't because, especially this section. Now, most national forests are not like this. Most of them have a lot more forest actually in the section that they have labeled, but this particular one had a particularly small amount of national forest in it. So, but that was actually owned by the national forest. Now, these are just when they get these boundaries, these are just kind of like general boundaries. I don't know exactly how they draw these lines, but they just kind of give a general idea on the map. But within it, though, there's going to be scattered private property, and it's all going to depend on. Some of them have a really high percentage of private property, like this one. I mean, you can just see that there's a lot of farmland in here, but some of them have like not that much. Like if we look at some ones like down here in southern Missouri, yeah, you can see it's a lot. There's a lot more trees in there. You can see, but anyway, so the good news is that the forestry department has provided us a really good tool here, and you can just go to the link here on their website. And now the thing about it too is this is there's also an app that you really have to download, that I didn't actually have downloaded myself, and then that will give you these same maps, and it's pretty much. I'm on the PC right now. This would be easier to do here, and it's always easier to do on a PC, really. I mean, a phone really isn't a substitute for a computer. I mean, it really is easier to map this stuff out on a computer, but anyway, but you could pretty much get the same thing on your phone, and it shows the same things. Well, like, of course, with the phone, it also shows your location as well. So I guess it is superior in some ways. And so this is a interactive map here, and they have some other non-interactive maps as well. But what this does is it shows the different forests here. Now, first of all, what I want to do is turn off these layers, okay, because some of these might be useful, but then for the most part, don't really want to do that too much. And then you can pick the base map, and I think what I was finding is the best one was to do the Forest Service because it seemed like I kept getting some kind of error about data whenever I tried using any of these other ones. So I would probably just stick to this Forest Service one. Okay, so all right, let's first of all look at my little forest here that I tried to go to. So you look at it, and it looks all green and everything, right? And then you zoom in, and then okay, oh, there's the real story. Okay, so the green here this is actually the real national forest areas, these green parts here. And so now the thing is, like in some areas though, you got to realize too that it might turn out to be a little better than what you'd expect because, well, for instance, I was looking at the maps of Cook County, Minnesota, which I might put at the end of this, where you'll see some areas that look like is private land, and it'll be like, because it'll be like this color. But then when you actually look at the actual tax parcel map of it, it's actually a lot of those are spots like where it says like state of Minnesota and stuff. So I'm guessing they have an agreement with the National Forest where they go ahead and just let them administer it and everything. But anyway, all right, so you go down to these areas, and now it doesn't really do any good, these areas, if you can't really drive into them, right? So you got to know which areas actually have roads that you can go on. So the easiest way to do here is, okay, so look, you can look at all kinds of things here, like places you can even go horseback riding into places, ATV. But what we want to do is highway legal, because we just want to drive our car into. Okay, so now it's going to show these sections, and now you can see that, okay, there's actually in this section not that many places where you can really drive your car. And what it does, it highlights them here. Okay, and then some of these, like, okay, this X here, that just means that's like a road that's closed, and you can see a few sections like that. And then if you want to look at the legend here, you can see that like the dotted ones are the ones that the roads that aren't so great. I mean, some of these you're gonna have to kind of maybe even go there in your car to maybe even kind of see what it looks like, and it may be okay, and it might be okay just to drive like a couple miles if you're, or maybe less than a mile, as long as you're real careful. And then you can see these ones that are like solid line; those are better. And then even better is like where it's kind of filled and then it's gravel, and then if it's filled in gray like that, that's even the best. Which you're not going to see that many roads like that, but that's the best. You can kind of get some idea looking at this legend. And then if you don't want to look at that legend, you can even kind of click on this, and it gives a description of it. Let's see. Okay, it says type of road, low standard, rough road. Let's see. Let me find one that's. I may not be able to find a gravel one in here, but let's see. Okay, well, anyway, I don't know if I can find that right now, but if you click on one, it'll on some of them it'll say gravel road, and that's where you know it's better, or even paved. So it'll give the description on these little arrows here, or wherever these are. And so, okay, so you can just look at this, that, okay, this wouldn't be an ideal area for a person just to come in and try to go camping. I mean, you'd have to go it'd probably be best if you're going to go in this area, going for these specific spots here. And then you have to zoom in a little bit to kind of see on some of these, to see, it's kind of hard to see where it actually connects with the actual real road. Or okay, maybe you have to go onto this one sometimes. Let's see, base map. Okay, like streets. Okay, yeah, I found on some of these you have to kind of do that if you want to. On some of these, it seemed like it wasn't showing where the regular county roads and whatnot were visible. And and I'm not sure about it, but it kind of seems like, I don't know if it's an official rule. Maybe someone who knows more about the forestry department could tell me. I mean, but even if a road passes totally through the forest area, but it's a county road, is it illegal to disperse camp off of that? I mean, I'm not really sure, but I think for our purposes, we're going to just go for these roads, these 4-digit ones that get shaded like this to be safe. Okay, so let's go to a section where it's a little better, down here in the Ozarks here. Thankfully, there's different parts of this country where either the soil was too rocky or just too rough a terrain where they didn't put a bunch of farmland in. So because of that, we still have a bunch of areas left where you can do this kind of thing. Because I mean, if the whole country was like flat land and had really good soil, like someplace like Iowa, I mean, it would look like Iowa. It would be like there wouldn't be like hardly any public land around. So but I mean, of course we need that because we all need to eat. So I'm not going to complain too much about that. So okay, so you can see a bunch of ones here, like yeah, you click on those. Gravel road. Okay, so these would be the ones that you'd probably prefer to go down if you had an RV, but you'd always want to maybe check it out a little bit first, and then all these. And I haven't found a way on here actually yet to. I was trying to see if it had a way of where it could actually show you the coordinates, and then you could put that into Google and like save it in there, but I haven't really found a way to do that yet. So yeah, so you can just see all these. So you can see the different scattered areas, and then you can see in some of these. Yeah, there's a lot of different roads to choose from in some of these. Yeah, just looking for those tan areas, and then yeah, and if you're on your phone, it would show you where you are. But I'd probably suggest maybe trying to save something offline or something to try to make it, because you never know, sometimes your cell signal might get interrupted. But if you could find these locations also on Google and like kind of save it into Google, then that would probably be a good way too. Okay, so let's see, what else do we got going on here? And then you could, yeah, you could switch the base map here if you want to just, the imagery here, like the satellite view basically, and then that sort of thing. And then you could switch to topographical map as well. I think this might have been the one that was giving me trouble before, but that was okay, yeah, and you can kind of see, like, if you go through an area where you're going through a bunch of real dense lines, it might be kind of rough, or like this looks like it's probably pretty good because it's pretty much keeping in between the lines. That means so it's staying at a pretty constant elevation, and then let's see what else is to this map that might be interesting. I guess that's about all there is to it. I mean, it's just, yeah, look at these maps because this is the way to go. I mean, you could look across the whole country and just see. Okay, they also give here like a section, like how many, within a particular section, how many rows as well. Yeah, see, it gives like how many, 8. Yeah, see that in this section as it goes down. So you can just see, like, so let's say if you were going to be somewhere in Missouri and then you wanted to find the place where there's a lot of these rows, and you can just kind of look and see like which has like the high numbers and stuff, and you kind of maybe would know that this wouldn't be a good candidate. I mean, this seemed like a good one because it's right off the highway, but you can see as far as like some place to camp, this wouldn't be like the best area unless you really wanted to like camp someplace near Columbia. But and then okay, then I'll go ahead and, as my bonus feature, I'll go ahead and just show you how that sometimes just seeing where, just because it doesn't show it in green, sometimes it's not necessarily private land. Um, so if you go here up to, okay, I actually have it here in Cook County, Minnesota up here, which is, a really nice area if you haven't been there. And then you'll find that actually, it looks like there's a lot of private land still in there, which, I mean, there might actually be still a fair amount left, but of private land. I mean, hopefully they're not going to build a bunch of stuff out there, but I don't know. I mean, it gets more complicated because I know there's things like these trust agreements where somehow like the people own it, but then they agree not to build on it and all this other sort of thing. I mean, so it gets kind of complicated, but if you just want to look at, though, at this area here, okay, this Elbow Lake, and now first I want to get these things where they're about the same size. Now this is Cook County's parcel map, which actually, if you click on each one, it actually tells you exactly who owns it. And this information has always been available, I guess, like in the courthouse or whatever, but now they're putting this kind of stuff online so you can actually look it up in these plat maps. So this should be almost like as good information as you could get as far as knowing the public property and what's public and what's private. And so if you look here, you see this area which is like this, and you're thinking, okay, yeah, that looks like a lot of public private land. And then, but if you look at this, okay, yeah, okay, U.S. Superior National Forest, okay, and then this area here, okay, let's see, okay, so this one really is owned by a private person, that one is. But then if you look at like some of this area here, which is the same as this, okay, state of Minnesota, so, that's what I found in this area. There's a lot of mixed in this area with the federal land. There's a lot of this state land, and so as far as I know, I don't know if they've got an agreement with the forestry department to manage that land, or how that works. But I mean, I'm sure if it's state land, at least at this point, you're not gonna have to worry about. You'll be okay going on that land. But that's not something you'd have to really worry about too much. I mean, it's just if there's some area you're not supposed to be in anyway, they're gonna have a sign anyway. So anyway, I hope these tools help you. Thanks.